my beautiful lovelies! Welcome to another video. Today we are going to be covering a Christmassy topic, last minute Christmas gifts, and last minute Christmas gift edits. Some of you are also still shopping for additional goodies to put in people's stockings or courtesy gifts, I suppose. So this is going to be following the same format as my last video. You get to pick a card or crystal set, whichever one speaks to you, or if none of them speak to you, see if perhaps they remind you of someone, and you might have been called to this video to be a deliverer of somebody's advice. Hopefully these all find their proper destinations in time. So this is going to be you or the recipient of the gift, probably the recipient. Then this is going to be what the advice is about, and this is going to be advice on how to get to the optimal outcome for your circumstance. This time I put them in the shells. So this is a Peridot. This is the actual stone that called to me for this reading. But this is a closer look of like how a cut Peridot actually looks. And let me get you a closer look of the fairy. Our first fairy. Our second crystal. And another better example. For this one, it was this specific little stone that was calling to me. But I felt like a higher quality crystal would give you a better sense of the energy that might be summoned right now. Over here we have the second fairy. I'm filming this at night. I wanted to get this out there as soon as possible, even though it's been a busy day. I was actually going to do a completely different topic because Christmas is so close, but the cards were calling to me like, give our message. There are people out there. So hopefully they're not too late, especially by the time I upload this. The third crystal, this is Kyanite. Our third fairy card. So make your choice. If you need more time, you can pause the video. Have you made your choice? Very well. We will begin with the first fairy and the first crystal. Peridot. So Peridot is a crystal of God, spirituality, and faith. Not just faith in the Christian sense though. It's also faith towards yourself, I would say. It's a crystal of purification, and it's used to purify, not just to protect and purify like an environment, but to heal your heart from trauma. And it's used for somatizations, which is when your anxieties and your emotions cause illnesses. So that's sort of spiritual practice. But it's also a study stone. because it's a stone of the steady, careful calling of the pursuit. I'm sorry. It's a stone of the steady, careful caring of a life's calling. A steady stone. It's used for that daily concentration, daily caring, and it is sometimes very mundane daily tasks, like studying for something big, something long-term, but something important, something close to your heart. It's also a very lucky stone. It's used to attune to the frequency of increase, and it's green, so it has to do with the whole nature's constant renewal, plants, spring energy, abundance. Yeah, law of attraction. So over here, there we go. Oh, I think that's good enough. The Poplar fairy. He's very focused on these flowers. It's adorable. The first time I saw this, it made me think of somebody who's really into cotton. This isn't cotton, but it's fluffy and it reminds me a lot of cotton. Somebody who's perhaps into cotton, into textiles, into fashion, into natural fabrics. Or somebody who's really attuned to the simple pleasures of life, or maybe like a specific humble sort of sense of quality, like an eye for quality, but in a well-made stuff kind of way rather than luxury. Oh, so Poplar has to do with adaptability, rebirth, and the cycles of life and death, similar to this. There's also lots of green in this illustration. But it also has to do with loneliness, old age memory, and a peaceful afterlife. And the name Poplar has to do with democracy. It has to do with the word populace, and it's called the tree of the people. So there might be something like about service, community service, altruism in this reading. So we have 2 cards actually for the who. It might be that you're a complex person, or the person you're gifting this to is a complex person. So let's go with this card first. The 6 of Swords. So, the 6 of Swords has to do with the escape. It has to do with transition. It's about a situation that has gotten so bad, so toxic, that you need to start fresh. That's the only way forward. But since it's not like over here, it's probably about somebody who's already made that choice. It could be, it's probably an external circumstance, but it could also be an internal circumstance. Like you have forged a boundary with yourself, and you're in a transition phase internally. It could also be regrets. You see this, I believe it's a woman, it's a family, but this woman with her head sunken, and these swords are sort of like swords in her psyche, dooming her emotionally. Regrets, it could be the consequences of your own actions. Oh, let's reattune. There we go. It could be regrets as in the consequences of your own actions. It could also be just a situation that you're starting fresh, but it's not a clean cut. There's lots of regrets and things you wish would have turned out for the better. Over here, we have the reversed 3 of Cups. The social card, but reversed is not so good. Reversed, the 3 of Cups, is about the toxic side of society. It could be about isolation, but it's probably more about gossip, conflict between people, bad company, bad blood, toxic environment. It could also be somebody who's frugal or is tight in their budget. It could be somebody who's struggling with their budget because of their situation. Maybe they want to match their budget to the people around them and how they spend. It's a bit toxic for them. A tendency to overspend. And these cards are advising you, it's leaning towards don't overspend right now. But we look at the next card. Let's see if we can get some more light. The Knight of Pentacles. He looks like he's holding a star. Well, he is holding a star. So this is about principles. Somebody who is dedicated to their values, which has to do with Peridot. This is also about boundaries, healthy relationships, staying close to your values. So this card has to do also, like Peridot, with patient commitment, reliability, responsibility, trustworthiness, loyalty, efficiency in the frugal sort of way. So this card is also advising you to lean to financial frugality, not taking risks. Yeah, alongside Peridot, it's about the mundane and glamorous daily work, the drudge, and faith in yourself. Necessity for, especially with this situation, faith in yourself and your values, and the way you have chosen to live your life and your priorities. Because consequences come. Sometimes things turn out for the worse, but this is also about luck. Wisdom is pointing towards staying true to yourself. There we go. 8 of Wands. Upside down. This card very plainly looks like the arrows being thrown. What was it? Spears. It reminds me of an ancient hunter group hunting a megafauna, like that imagery of throwing lots and lots of spears. So this card has to do, interestingly, with frustration, perhaps frustration you're feeling, and it urges patience. So maybe you're feeling regrets about your consequences. Wow, big coincidence. This urges self-forgiveness, letting go and moving on, and accepting what the situation is with a healthy mindset. So it's important to self-reflect with this card. It urges towards tactical advance forward, but it's about a growth mindset, the need for balance. So don't self-harm emotionally or by sabotaging yourself, but don't give up on your situation. Yes, see the Knight. Responsibility. This card also advises you to release jealousy. If there's any conflicts in your workplace, it advises you to resolve them quickly. It's important to do your best, but then leave it to karma or fate or justice to find you. And to just keep doing your best. That's what these cards advise. So for Christmas gifts, it's advising you to stay with your principles, stay within your budget, definitely. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Release your jealousy, like this card. Purify your heart. Focus on what's important, on your values, your priorities, the long term, and keep at it. This card too, and here too. It's important to keep at it. Keep your priorities in mind. Wisdom here too. Alright, a pretty clear-cut reading. A lot of coincidences, I was like, wait, am I mixing something up? Because these cards are so similar in what they're saying. It's like saying it, repeating it, like emphasis. Do not overspend beyond your budget. It's okay. Go steady. Even if you're trying to like build a relationship, go steady, trust the process. Don't rush into it. Do it the standard way. Trust your values. Alright, on to number 2. I've added a light so it won't be as dark as it's been. Amazonite. Lovely crystal. So this is an emotionally soothing crystal, but it's used to gain mental clarity. So the way people use it is double-sided. It's used to soothe your emotions so you can see them more clearly, but it's also used to understand yourself and gain control of your emotions. Not like a tyranny sort of thing, but it's used to see beyond your emotional confusion. People use it to get back to their logical mind because it helps them get clarity when their emotions are really in there, roughing them up. It's a crystal people use to get in touch with their intuitive wisdom, and people use it for existential questions, making decisions, connecting to like divine connection, that sort of stuff. Self-awareness, once you're not so frazzled. Look at him, the Mulberry fairy. He's so mischievous. Oh, is he dressed? He's dressed as a devil. So I'm gonna have to interpret that as a card. But also, mulberries have their own symbology. So mulberries have to do with steady patience, wisdom, and the power of faith. They also have to do with love, abundance, prosperity, and sacrifice. Sacrifice has to do with the devil card. Wisdom? He doesn't look like he's very wise. He looks like a mischievous little child, which might be the recipient of this gift. It could also be a mischievous little inner child who is in the process of integrating those two sides of yourself, because sometimes when people grow up too fast or they have to suppress a side of themselves, it doesn't really develop to be fully integrated. So the devil card has to do with unhealthy attachment, also desire, temptation, or fear, unhealthy fear. It also has to do with themes of powerlessness and the whole journey of gaining awareness, gaining freedom, gaining independence. Is this you or is this the recipient? Guess we'll find out. So the reversed Queen of Cups. Oh yes, you can finally see what I'm holding. The reversed Queen of Cups. So, this one has to do with insecurity, giving too much martyrdom, codependence, that whole toxic, not as in evil, but that whole generational trauma thing with femininity, where some women were just taught to give. Their whole identity is about sacrifice and putting themselves second, being an object that is perceived rather than being a fully fledged person with an identity and boundaries, confidence, rather than someone who does the perceiving, a whole person. So this card, self-neglect, emotionally restricted, sort of thing. It makes a lot of sense why I was called to choose this. Last one I didn't pay too much attention to the cards, but I just left it up to chance. But this time I was like, okay, which cards are calling me, and which crystals do you want, even if it doesn't look the best for the Christmas season. But it's not too bad. They're still cute cards. There are some cards that aren't as fully illustrated, they're just characters, so these look pretty good. Yeah, it's bringing up the generational trauma thing where women were taught to be overly sacrificial, pouring out of an empty cup, that sort of thing. You gotta fill your own cup before you fill others. Is this you, or is this who you're giving this to? Because it's a child, and I got a strong impression of a child. It could be a mother, but it's probably a woman, but it could also be a child, because children have very strong attachment drives to their caregivers, because for them it's survival. All humans have a social one, but, well, we are social creatures, but for children it can be especially rough. So being codependent, not knowing yourself yet because you're still developing, yeah, it could be a child. Heavy energy. I thought I escaped heavy energy. What's this? Yeah, I was upright. 3 of Swords. Pain. Okay, now I'm leaning towards this is the recipient for sure. Pain. So this 3 of Swords is about trauma, loss, sorrow. These traits align with someone who's gone through a lot, maybe traumatized. Even if it's not like an unusual traumatic event, even societal problems, like something that we've normalized, it can still be a problem. It can still have a serious effect on an individual, whether we have acknowledged it as traumatic or not. So, yeah, depending, it's probably multiple people these cards have been drawn for, but yeah. So gifts for someone like this, probably something that helps them process their trauma. Maybe Amazonite, since Amazonite was chosen for this grouping. Things like a weighted blanket, a finger labyrinth, stuffed animals, inner child things. It could also be things that tie into their suppressed personality, so think about who they are, maybe who they're afraid to express or put out there that they are, helping them develop into their identity. Something that shows them that you see them and you care about them as a person and they are enough. This specific group makes me really sad. Whoever this is, that's rough. The moon. The moon has to do with mothers. Since we're talking about self-care, it could also be a therapy dog. Because there's some dogs. Oh yeah, oh my goodness. There we go. Dog. The dark side of the moon. Yeah, this is also about trauma. So this card is about clarity, misunderstanding, confusion. Again, making them understand that they're seen. It could be that there's misunderstanding between you and this person, or there's just a lot of misunderstanding in their life. Anxiety, emotional struggles. It could also be something about the night. They could be struggling with sleep, falling asleep, having restful sleep. With trouble sleeping, a lot of people take like magnesium glycinate, maybe noise-canceling headphones, earplugs, an eye mask. If this person has sleep troubles, that can really exacerbate any other problems they're having, because sleep affects your concentration, your mood, your health is really important. And with this card, conventional wisdom is seeking guidance is an important solution, because there's so much confusion, so much pain. So one thing that might help is books. Some people find connection and clarity through fantasy books, especially modern ones, since they tend to be very psychologically aware. Yeah. But also biographies of people's lives. It could be a philosophy book. It could be a book about the specific issues they've gone through in their life. So, or a general trauma book. Another thing that's not a gift is therapy or counseling might be helpful to them. If you have a higher budget, maybe yoga classes or classes in general to help them grow into themselves and flourish. Yeah, blossom into their creative inner child. Yeah, service animal. Yep. That's the best I got for this reading. Man. Well, let us move on. Take care, little Mulberry Fairy. On to the third and last reading for this video. Not forever. Here we have Kyanite. It normally looks like this. It's a stone that's about bridging, but it's also a very intense stone. It's a stone that's a universal bridge, is known as. It's about communication and mediating disparate energies, and also creating that bridge, forging that bridge. So people use it both for communication, also for manifestation, and for aligning their chakras and stuff. People also use it when they want to elevate their energy, I'd say, and clear through stuckness in their life and get it moving. Aww. Look at her rosy little cheeks. So I'm noticing, not just among these 3 cards, but in general with this set, this card is especially autumnal. This is the Blackberry Fairy, by the way. Especially autumnal. Maybe the person you're giving this gift to was born in the autumn. They might be a Virgo because of the harvest. Or you last saw them in the autumn, so it's been a while since you connected. Blackberries hold symbology for the cycle of life, death, rebirth. So since she's making me think of Virgo, it might have to do with Demeter, Ceres, the mother of the goddess Persephone, Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. Persephone also has to do with the creative cycle, not just like the seasonal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, but the creative cycle of the psyche going underground, germinating an idea, and then the idea blossoming out when it's ready. Renewal. Blackberries also have to do with magic and protection. They're known as fairy food. They also have to do with spiritual lessons. I'm also noticing the cross over here. So the recipient of this gift might be a Christian, might be very religious. Blackberries also have to do with the crown of thorns on Christ's head. So yeah, might be a Christian. Let's look. Yeah, the Emperor. I'm thinking this is the recipient. Might be an old paternal figure, might be very conservative. It could also be a male superior in your job or a mentor. I'm thinking for one of you it is a mentor. Possibly maybe a mentor who's a little withdrawn. Somebody who's hard to get to open up to you. You're trying to do that with this gift. For another one of you, I feel like it might be a parent or a paternal figure of your spouse or partner. Yeah. This card also has to do with systems, money, logic, and long-term commitment. So what gift are we going with? Oh, the Page of Swords. That's a very big contrast. I'm thinking it feels like most likely this is you, and This is the recipient. Youthful. Since it's on its side, it's probably because it's a public reading and this means different things from different people. It could be a good thing or just a statement. It could be a warning for other people. So, the Page of Swords. It can be about scattered, defensive, naively headstrong, too youthful, reckless, spreading misinformation. This card also has to do with communication, which has to do with Kyanite. So I'm thinking maybe your gift has to do with maybe something unconventional or a work of literature. Maybe something you've made yourself. Or through this gift, you're trying to get through to someone. You are trying to communicate or reconnect, maybe just emotionally. Might just be a member of your family that seems a bit estranged. One more thing. People do use Kyanite to reconnect to their logic and to use it for focus, more commitment, to commit to their task and finish it, to be more logical. It's also used internally to connect with truth, speaking truth, finding the right words. Not just connection, but truthful connection. It's also used for resilience in hard situations. It enables you to improvise and shift perceptions and see other people's point of view. That's a very blue crystal sort of thing in general. So our next card, our advice. The Dreamer. So this card is about dreams and illusions, 7 of Cups. Being too much of a dreamer. Maybe in this case it has to do with reconciling what effect you want this gift to have on your relationship with this paternal figure, with the Emperor's practicality, groundedness, rationality, basically mediation. And maybe doing a bit more work to connect to their conservative values or attachment to the old. It could be about finding a middle ground, but still being truthful, so that your sentiments land in the way you're hoping they will. Yeah, it might be a work of literature, a book, or it might be about communication as in bridging yourself into an industry, networking. So maybe this is a gift towards somebody who you know, but you're trying to get closer to for career reasons. Or, yeah, somebody you're trying to get closer to. That's pretty universal. It could just be a message. It could be you're sending a happy holidays card. That makes a lot of sense. Communication. Renewal. Lessons, temptations. It might be useful temptations. Like, not necessarily your intentions are wrong. Your intentions could be pure, could be the upper hand, even though this card tends to be it sounds a little bit more moral, and this one is on its side, but it could be about just not your intentions being true, but your delivery. Being a little bit more careful there, being a little more intentional as to the whole, being in the physical realm, being separate people who don't have telepathy. It takes a bit of work in relationships to make things land right, make communication go as you intend, and truly connect to people. Yeah. So that's the end of my reading. Hopefully it reached the right ears and it was helpful. Please leave a comment, maybe a like, if this helped you. Let me know what you think. If you have any specific readings, any topics for readings you would like me to cover. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of your day. Rest of the holiday, hopefully. And goodbye.